everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's CNN's news panel on the government shutdown. My name is Demi Young. I am the moderator this evening, the host of CNN for 6 years now. I will be leading the panel discussion on the government shutdown. This evening on our panel, we have Francesca DiCiccio, journalist for Bloomberg Business Week, Jordan O'Connor, economist for the Federal Reserve, Anna Davies, Vice President of the American Economics Association, and Tolal Shaheen, political analyst. Panelists, thank you for being here this evening. You will all each have a minute and a half to address each question. If you exceed the time limit, you will be cut off. Audience members and viewers, we will be taking questions. However, we ask that you save your questions until the end of the panel discussion during our Q&A session. Panelists, 800,000 U.S. citizens unemployed, national parks, national museums, numerous offices shut down. This first question is for all of you. Given your position, do you think the government should have shut down? Francesca?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm Francesca DiCiccio, and I'm a journalist for Bloomberg Business Week, and I stand for the government shutdown. I think that the shutdown could be considered an opportunity for protect USA economy. Because now the shutdown protects the USA economy from the uncertainties caused by the political disagreements. Furthermore, the shutdown could be considered a restart, a point to restart again as an opportunity to understand which departments now are really needed by the government and which are a complete waste of money for taxpayer dollars. So I think that the government can restart from a zero-based budget, and according to Joe Weisenthal, a colleague of the Business Insider, I think that shutdown could be considered as a wake-up call for both the politics and economy of the United States.
Thank you, Francesca. Jordan? To restate the question, given your position, do you think the government should have been shut down?
Okay, well, as Demi said, my name is Jordan O'Connor, and I am an economist for the Federal Reserve. And I'm in agreement with the government shutting down as opposed to the other option of a default. We've been through a government shutdown before numerous times, and actually the last one was in 1995 to 1996, and it only lasted for 21 days during the Clinton administration. That being said, the other option is a default, and had we gone into default, the markets would have plummeted and frozen there. Also, the banks would have collapsed and the interest rates would have increased probably permanently. Therefore, mortgages, car loans, education, it would all be extremely expensive, and also it would definitely bring about another recession. And since we just got out of our last one, which they actually titled the Great Recession, this would probably be worse. That being said, the default would definitely be more costly than a government shutdown. This 3-week government shutdown has costed about $2 billion to $3 billion, which seems like a lot of money, but compared to a default, or as the Congress and White House are looking at, is an $86 billion sequester as like a bargain. So I'm definitely in agreement that the government shutdown is a less costly option.
Thank you, Jordan. Anna Davies, given your position, do you think the government should have shut down?
Thank you, Demi. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Davies, and I'm an economist. I'm Vice President of the American Economics Association. And in response to the question of whether the government should have shut down or not, the government should not have shut down, nor should Congress have gotten to the point where a government shutdown was even an option. There's absolutely no economic upsides to the shutdown, as thousands of furloughed workers are left without work and pay. The longer these workers are left without work and pay, that means the less money that is being filtered back into the economy. The less income they receive, therefore the less income they pay for any household items, buying houses or any other necessities. The thousands of furloughed workers are going to become more frugal, therefore, not spend as much. And as household expenditures account for 70% of the economy, that puts the economy at a definite standstill. History shows that in a normal economy, a short shutdown will have almost negligible effect on both the stock market as well as the economy. However, as it is now 14 days into our current shutdown, this is definitely not going to be a short-term shutdown, and we will begin to see some of the long-term effects of the negative long-term effects on the economy from this shutdown.
Thank you, Anna. Talal, given your position, do you think the government should have shut down?
Good afternoon, my name is Talal Shaheen and I'm against the government shutdown. As a political analyst, I think the government should not have shut down. Taking such a drastic move to prove a point and play with millions of people's millions of dollars is cynical. Some of the most important things we need to know is about 800,000 employees are furloughed and 1,300,000 have been working without pay. Everyone in the world will be affected with the shutdown if it persists, as other countries and foreign investors will seek other places to invest their money at. The United States will also slowly lose its credibility, as other countries will see it as a country that cannot be relied on due to the two different parties going at it at every single important and critical issue. The government shutdown is a game played by congressmen and other political figures for their own personal benefit. This whole mess started because of the disagreement on Obamacare, which is in fact a huge benefit to all Americans.
Thank you, Talal. Panelists, this next question for you all will be your last. Francesca, do you think the government shutdown will kill Obamacare?
Well, my answer is no. I don't think that the shutdown will kill the Obamacare, because money for Obamacare will come from other new taxes and fees, as well from costs of cut costs from other programs like Medicare. So these kind of funds will not be stopped, so they will continue despite the shutdown. According to an NBC and Wall Street Journal survey, up to 38% of American people thinks that the shutdown is the Obamacare is a good thing, and this percentage rose up still from this month of 7 points. So only the 20% of Americans say that the shutdown will kill the Obamacare. So I think that it won't be killed Obamacare. So again, my name is Francesca Di. I'm a journalist for Bloomberg Business Week, and I stand for the shutdown.
Thank you, Francesca. This next question is for Jordan O'Connor. Had we gone into default, do you think it would have affected the gross domestic product?
Well, had we gone into default, the way it would have affected gross domestic product is kind of ambiguous, because U.S. default is unprecedented. It hasn't happened before. And due to that, the only ambiguity is by how much it would hurt us, because there is no, it's for sure that it would hurt the economy. That being said, Goldman Sachs has suggested that it would cost 4.2% of GDP over the next year. And according to International Monetary Fund, the biggest impact of government spending usually occurs during a financial crisis. So for every dollar of government spending that happens, this would increase GDP by as much as $2. And also, according to the Congressional Budget Office, currently we're running at about 4% of GDP, which equals about $600 billion. So if you take that into play, they've decided that the macroeconomic multiplier effect is going to would affect it if we had gone into a default. So if the GDP did increase by 4%, they're saying that it would ultimately actually increase by more than 4%. And as I said earlier, 4% is about $600 billion. So this default would affect our borrowing costs, and it would hurt the economy.
Thank you, Jordan. My next question is for Anna. What do you think the long-term effects of the government shutdown will be?
I think that some of the short-term effects that we're experiencing right now will translate into more drastic long-term negative economic effects, and as well as affect our foreign relationships with other countries. In 1995, the 21-day shutdown cost the American economy $1.5 million, which translates into $2.1 billion in our currency. According to the IHS, our current shutdown is costing our economy $300 million a day. So as the U.S. debt is rising by $300 million a day, confidence in the United States is decreasing significantly. American CEOs are less willing to invest in the United States and therefore are looking overseas, therefore bringing money out of the United States and into overseas countries. As the government runs out of money to pay their bills, the likelihood of other countries being willing to lend the United States money decreases significantly as well, therefore increasing the United States borrowing costs and making it much more difficult for the United States to borrow money. As a result of this economic downturn and tense foreign relationships with other countries, the shutdown should not have occurred and therefore should not happen again. Congress should work so this should not happen again because we'll be reaping the negative effects of this shutdown for many years to come.
Thank you, Anna. Talal, what are the effects of the government shutdown on a day-to-day basis?
The government shutdown has had a massive effect on the country. It cripples anything funded by the government as a budget has not yet been agreed on by Congress. Vital services such as healthy food for senior citizens and young children may not last long if the shutdown persists. Also, veterans which have fought for the United States have lost call centers and offices that allow them to know what their benefits are. Veteran compensations, pensions, and education could also be cut off if the shutdown persists. According to USA Today, about $76 million is being lost every day due to the shutdown from revenue by monuments and national parks, as most of the monuments and national parks have been closed due to employees being furloughed, and causing many setbacks for people that have planned events at those locations. Although recently the Obama administration allowed states to pay with their own money and without federal funding if they wish to reopen these monuments and parks. According to The Guardian, border entry and exit to the United States may also be delayed due to the decreased amount of security personnel at checkpoints. Also, NASA has furloughed almost 97% of their employees, except a few remaining in the Houston Mission Control, as it has to maintain contact with the ISS.
I'm sorry, Talal, I'm going to have to stop you there, but thank you. Audience and panelists, this concludes our panel discussion. At this point, I would like to thank each and every one of you. Francesca DiCiccio for the shutdown because it will be an opportunity to restart. Jordan O'Connor for the shutdown because it would be less costly than a default. Anna Davies against the shutdown because of the long-term detriment to the U.S. and foreign policy. And Talal Shaheen against the government shutdown because of the short-term effects. Audience, thank you very much for attending and tuning in this evening. At this point, we will be taking questions during our Q&A session. Yes?
This question is for Francesca. What is the difference between the government shutdown and debt crisis?
So this question is for Francesca. Francesca, to restate the question, what is the difference between the debt crisis and the government shutdown?
Thank you for your question. Well, the difference is that when the government shut down, the government led to the legal authority to spend money on non-essential services. That's why if you go to Washington, for example, you will find a lot of museums closed, statue museum closed. During the debt crisis, the government is allowed to spend money, is mandated to spend money, but the government can't borrow money to spend it. So this is the main difference between shutdown and debt crisis.
Thank you, Francesca. Next question? Yes.
This question is for Anna. What are the areas or departments affected by the government shutdown?
So, Anna, what are the departments and areas that are affected by the government shutdown?
In addition to foreign policy and the economy, some areas that are affected by the shutdown are scientific research. There are several Arctic expeditions that have to be canceled due to the shutdown. Disease control, the outbreak protection program has also had to be put on hold. NASA, all expeditions have been forced to stop operations for the duration of the shutdown. National parks are all shut down. This means that tourist cities such as Moab, Utah, these tourist cities thrive off of the money that tourism brings to the cities. For example, Moab is in between Canyonlands and Arches National Park. So Moab is currently struggling to survive without this money coming in from the tourism. The National Institute of Health has had to turn people away, and also the Environmental Protection Agency has also been put on hold, making us more prone to possible risk in the long term.
Thank you, Anna.
I have a question for Jordan. How would the U.S. going into default affect the global economy?
Okay, so Jordan, this question is for you. How would the U.S. going into default affect the global economy?
Okay, well, how the U.S. going into default affects the global economy ultimately is that, according to the International Monetary Fund, there is no place safe for the United States, and I think we can all agree with that. And that being said, there's nothing safer than a U.S. security. So had we gone into default, it would have been catastrophic because many countries are invested within our country. For instance, China has $2 billion in our securities. Japan has about the same, and the UK and Europe also have a large amount invested within the United States. So had we gone into default, this would have affected many markets. Also, had we gone into default, the U.S. would refuse to pay these securities, and we'd also refuse to acknowledge the value of them. And because of that, the formal default would have hurt markets around the world because those securities are collateral to many financial markets.
Thank you, Jordan. That concludes our Q&A session. Panelists, once again, thank you very much. Viewers and audience, thank you very much for attending this evening. Please stay tuned for our next panel on the legalization of marijuana. This is your moderator, Demi Young, with the CNN News panel of the government shutdown. Thank you and good night.